Welcome to the Human Conversation podcast with Jules White, the real dragon slayer, author and entrepreneur sales coach. Tune in weekly for human conversation about business and sales. Enjoy business expert interviews, educational episodes, and virtual cuppas with entrepreneur business owners. So grab yourself a cuppa and enjoy. Here is your host, Jules White.
So welcome everybody to the Human Conversation. I've got a fabulous lady with me. She is called Angie Dooling and she is a consultant conveyancer. I just had to quickly look down and make sure I say that properly because it's a posh title, that one. And she works for a company called Setfords. Now, hello Angie, welcome to the podcast.
Hello Jules, thanks for inviting me.
It's so lovely to have you on here. I'll tell the listeners a little bit about how we've met and everything as we chat. But first of all, let's just talk about the Setfords thing because I really like this. It's very interesting. So tell us your relationship to Setfords.
Okay, so for a great many years, I've worked in a high street firm, tied to a desk from 9 till 5. Frightened to go out of the office or do anything else out of the ordinary. And I stumbled across the firm called Setfords, who are a firm of solicitors. They're rather large. We've got about 300, I think, conveyancers that work for them at the moment. But we all work from home. We're all self-employed. So now I'm in charge of my own time, my own diary. The clients that I can help with their move process. So it's a much better way of working for me.
It sounds great. And you were just telling me before we started recording how much it can potentially cost if you were just to set up your own office as an independent solicitor. What sort of figures was that you said?
So if I was to set up on my own, I was looking at a figure of around about 50,000 to get my premises, to get my staff, my accounts package, my indemnity insurance, because that's huge, especially when you're setting up on your own. Compared to what I've done, you know, I've paid about £1,500 to get myself set up with the computer system, the desk and everything, no additional costs. So it's just a much better way of working. The stress has just come right down, and the flexibility is there. So I can, you know, I've got 5 grandchildren, so I can help with grandchildren. I'm dog sitting. He might be in the background. So that's because of the pandemic and it's still ongoing. So I'm looking after him at the moment. He's my son's dog. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, equally, that's also the mental health piece, let's just say, for you alone. You know, when you think about what you've just said life was like, and then now this new life where you're completely in control, working from home, really doing the hours you want to do in a sense. But equally, I think that kind of that personal service and customer experience side of it means you can do that the way you want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not tied to anything anymore. You know, if I, as an example, if I want to go and see a client, when you're in conveyancing, the clients come and see you. You know, they come into the office at an appointed time and they come and see you. Quite often in the office, they'll just pop in and expect to see you and things, but you might be with another client. But they always come to see you. But the flexibility I've got is that I can now go and see clients. And especially if they're elderly, and a lot of my clients are elderly, it's nice to be able to say to them, look, just stay where you are. I'll come and see you. Don't worry, the clock isn't running. I will come and see you. I'll get the papers signed. We'll have a chat. And, you know, they feel much more relaxed. It's a much better relationship between the lawyer and the client.
I think as well, when you look at things like conveyancing, basically, isn't it one of the most stressful and painful things to do in your life is to move house? And I think one of the stigmas attached to it is the solicitor's fees and how long they take to do what they need to take. You know, and that's just a fact, isn't it? That's a general fact. So isn't it lovely for you to be able to be in that market with a slightly different offering? Well, you kind of bust a myth, don't you, really, Angie?
Yeah, it's just really nice to be able to say and have that flexibility with clients that they can come to me, I can come to them. Either way, we're all just aiming to get a job done. They've asked me to buy a house for them or maybe sell a house. And most people, when they buy and sell a house, it can be a happy occasion. It can be because they, want to move to a bigger premises. But a lot of the time, it's got a sadness around it, where they might have a death in the family or they might have separated. A whole different ethos onto, why they're selling and how you react in that way.
Oh, I mean, you're talking my language, because as a sales consultant and a sales trainer, I always say, step into the world of your buyer. This is my big thing, isn't it? And you've just done that completely in that sentence, just understanding exactly the different scenarios of the people that you're dealing with. I love that so much. So I've got a question for you. When you left school, did you know what you wanted to be?
Oh gosh, well, I grew up as a forces child, so I was what was officially called a Pads Brat. So it's the name that they gave to the army soldiers. We lived in Germany, and I lived in Germany till I was 16 when I come back to the UK. So I'd been a Pads Brat for all of those years, and of course I'd gone to so many different schools because we really stayed in one place for maybe 2 years. And then we moved on somewhere else. So I've gone to a lot of different schools. I gave up on school. By the time I'd got to another one, they were on a different topic. I didn't know where they were. So I just thought, well, I don't know what I'm doing. So when I left school, I didn't have very much by way of education. And what I did do was I became a dental nurse because I just stumbled into that. It was a job that was advertised. I went and they liked me, so said, yes, you can come. I had no experience. And it's funny as well, because when I lived in Germany, I grew up as a child the German way. So when I come back, I had to learn it sounds weird, but I had to learn how the English live rather than how the Germans live. And although I'd lived in an English community, we were all in army camps, but to me, it was like a completely different thing, dealing with the English money, and just dealing with the English personalities as well. It was a very strange thing. So I went to a police station because I really wanted to be a police lady. And I filled in my form and took it in to ask them if they'd, put it forward. And I was told on the desk that it won't be handed in because I'm just too small.
See, I kind of knew this story a little bit because you mentioned it the other night, so I knew what was coming, and I am chuckling, but of course that was quite serious back then. That is the sort of stuff that people did. And I've got a story for you because I wanted to be an air hostess. And goodness knows why, but I think it was the uniform more than anything, if I'm really honest. And I applied to Monarch Airways, or Airlines, who were based down in Luton here. Uh-huh. And I was told I couldn't be an air hostess because I wasn't tall enough. So how funny is that? I mean, can you imagine that today, Angie?
I know, with everything else. Yeah, you see the policemen walking around now, and I'm actually taller than you.
Yeah, that's so funny. So obviously you're in this police station thinking, well, for goodness sake, I'm thinking that's connected to law. Was something then sparked about being a solicitor?
Yeah, I didn't really have any idea about a solicitor side of it because I just thought I could be a policeman. Lots of people are policemen. We did in those days have lots of police people. And I thought that would be quite easy to get into. I'd just do the police exams and then I'd get in. That was my thinking. And he suggested that I go to a careers advisor. And we just don't have those these days. But we had an office and there was a careers advisor in there. And I went along to see her. I made an appointment, obviously, and went along to see her. And you have to do a questionnaire of yes, no, yes, no. And when we finished the questionnaire, she said, well, I suggest you go into law. And it's like, well, I've just been to the police station.
Yeah. And they
And she said, no, I mean to, you know, be in the legal side, the other side, so be a lawyer. And I said, well, how do I do that? So I had to get a law degree, and the only way to do that was to go back to school. So
how did you feel about going back to school when, well, actually, let me take a step back. Having moved around so much and really lost your way with school, what was the impact of that while you were at school? Did you find that quite difficult?
Yeah, I thought that there was something mentally wrong with me because I could not keep up. And each time I went into the classes, it's like, I don't know what you're doing. And they weren't explaining, because in those days, it was quite a harsh environment. They weren't, you know, they didn't pamper to you, so to speak. And it was a case of, well, just go out of the class then if you don't know what we're doing, you know, just, they weren't interested. So I did go back to college. I didn't think I'd get anywhere with the college because I just I didn't have that much, well, I had a lot of experience with learning, but it wasn't a positive experience.
Yeah.
And then I was quite surprised when I got my, had to get GCSEs and O-levels in those days, CSEs and O-levels.
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised that I'd got them, and I'd got them quite easy. And I thought, how did that happen? How did I just suddenly do that? So then I did embark on the law degree, because I thought, well, if I can get the O-levels that I never thought I'd be able to get, then I can definitely do the law degree. And I did. So, yeah, just done a 4-year journey on the law degree.
Oh, you just did a 4-year journey. It sounds so simple. I think it's so wonderful to hear people who have had a difficult start in education like you had, to just have that resilience to go back and try again. That's the first thing that always amazes me. And the fact that when you did try again, how good you were at it, really. And then from there, you've got this brilliant opportunity to have a career in law as a solicitor. I mean, this is great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So it's just a really nice experience. I thought when I'd got my very first job in the law, you know, I'd made it, really. It was an amazing opportunity to have it, and I was so lucky to be given the opportunity. But 20-something years later, you just sort of reflect on it and think, it's not, I have to be there at a certain time, I have to leave at a certain time, I have to have my lunch at a certain time. I have to see a lot more clients than is actually physical. A lot of the people are incredibly stressed in the office. There's a lot of tears, you know, and that's a reality, because you are expected to make a certain turnover, and it's quite often unrealistic.
Sounds like a really harsh world, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of people very happy doing it, but I feel that the way I've gone now, I'm not meeting anybody else's expectations other than my own. But I have realised that by doing that, I have a lot more to offer.
Absolutely, yeah, without question. It kind of releases everything, I think, doesn't it? And I don't know, somehow your world gets bigger, doesn't it, when you start to run your own business? So yes, there's an element of fear and stress involved in it. Of course there is. But when you really explore that world, it's quite an exciting place, I think. So I think you feel the same from our discussions. Yeah. So we met in Swindon, correct?
We did.
And I came down from the NEC, where I'd been at an exhibition. I drove all the way down for an evening talk to this wonderful group of men and women who worked for Utility Warehouse.
That's right.
And in that audience was you.
Yes, I was sitting in there.
So I met you a little bit beforehand, because you're obviously, the organisers were Anna and Paul, and you were very close to them as well. So we had a drink, and I think you had a bite to eat and everything. So we had a little chat anyway. And you know, you just ooze this beautiful warmth, Angie, when you first meet you, you know, you really do. You're lovely. It was really nice. It was like I'd known you forever. And then I did my talk, and then I think we did have an exchange, and then I went home, you went home. Then I launched my High Street membership on the 1st of September. And we are also connected on Facebook at the time. And all of a sudden, you've joined the membership, which I do want to talk about with you in a minute. But tell me a bit about Utility Warehouse in between, because that's another additional thing that obviously you were doing. And are you still doing that now?
I am still doing it now, yeah. So as what we call a side hustle, 7 years ago, I embarked on Utility Warehouse, which is an entrepreneur journey, really. With doing that, it opens you up to an awful lot of personal development. And although I'd had the studying, that was law books, I hadn't had any introduction to personal development at all. And it's huge. And I think it changed me as a person. It's allowed me to cope with family situations. And it's also just given me an extra insight into me, who I am. And it makes you realize that there's a lot more out there. And I put personal development down to the reason I ended up walking away from the high street, because it makes you realize that you're building somebody else's dream. You're working so hard, you're building somebody else's dream. You're still getting your salary. And, you know, when I first joined the law, I thought it was amazing. I was having a fantastic salary. It was just brilliant. But then when I think about how much I'm bringing in for a firm and how much they're actually paying me, what they're paying me doesn't equate. You know, it doesn't have an impact on there. So that's when I did realise that I actually am building somebody else's dream. I'm working incredibly hard to do that, and life's too short. And it's not all about money, it's about just feeling happy in yourself, I think.
Yeah, I love that, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. So Utility Warehouse gives you a kind of formula where it's your own business, your own little business, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the support around you is actually huge with Utility Warehouse.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the network marketing type of businesses do support people. I get that. But I think Utility Warehouse do it in a really good personal development way. I like what I see them do, you know, from my experience with them. And I've spoken a couple of times at their events now. So I really like that formula. So how was it building a Utility Warehouse business, having been a solicitor for so many years?
Yeah, so building a utility warehouse business is a similar sort of process, because you know you have to be able to speak to people, and you're helping people. And what I do 9 to 5 day job is helping people. So the utility warehouse, I'm helping people to save money or to embark on their own journey of maybe they want to do it as a career, maybe they just want to do it as alongside what they already do. But the support network, as you mentioned, it's huge. We've made so many amazing friends, Anna and Paul, as you mentioned, and loads more. And it's just a really lovely environment. And they just embrace everybody that comes into it. And yeah, I've now got the flexibility to do both businesses alongside each other. And when I was working in the office, I was very conscious, if I ever mentioned Utility Warehouse, I was very conscious that it wasn't the right thing to be doing.
It's really interesting, because I thought I was going to say to you, you know, can you run both those businesses together? And you've just clearly said they actually complement each other in that you can still do that. So isn't that great?
Yeah, it is. We've got lots of people coming on board who just want to earn some extra money. I mean, we're in a pandemic at the moment. People are being made redundant, people are uncertain, but by helping themselves and helping their friends and families, they're able to earn some money alongside as well.
Yeah, it's great. And it's, you know, it's energy, isn't it? It's the Utility Warehouse covers all your energy in the home. What's the other things that you cover there?
So we do all of your essential services. So your it's gas, electric, phone, broadband, mobiles, home insurance, boiler care cover. It's an extending list that's going on. So yeah, but we put it all under one bill. So you haven't got lots of direct debits going out. You've got just the one direct debit. And at the moment, we have just been awarded which utility brand of the year for 2020.
Wow.
So that's the second time we've had that accolade. So it is a company that you can trust your mum to use.
Yeah, I love that.
The
Trust
most
your mum
trusted
to use.
company. Yeah.
That's great. And then there's also benefits, isn't there? If you're really smart, you can kind of get cashbacks and benefits and vouchers and all that, can't you?
Yeah, you
I
can. So
understand.
everyday shopping, even throughout the pandemic, I've been saving on the everyday shopping because we've got 2,000 stores online. So the idea is that you might have a bill of maybe £100 a month, but you might only pay 70 or 80 pounds because you've done your shopping, which you were going to do anyway. And by doing that shopping, you've got some money off your household bill. So it's everyday spend. You're going to be spending it anyway. You're just now reducing your household bill. So it's huge. So with the shopping that's gone online, you know, I've turned all of mine online.
Yeah.
And you just use your cashback card and reduce your bills. It's
Yeah.
a win-win.
Well, I think probably we need to have a chat sometime because I am a utility warehouse customer and I do not use all of the services that I can. There you go. I'll put it out there live on air. So I think it's about time probably that I had some accountability, Angie. So maybe you can help me with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But in terms of then us obviously staying connected, which has been lovely, and then on the 1st of September, I launched this membership, which, you know, I haven't really promoted on my podcast and I haven't talked about it that much in this environment, but I want to with you because you've come on board. It was a lovely surprise because I didn't really know that you were going to, but suddenly you were like, well, you know, when can I join and how do I join? And I was like, oh my goodness, I remember Angie. You came in, I think pre-1st of September, actually, you were just slightly early. And you have absolutely smashed everything in the membership. You're doing all the lessons, you're doing all the quizzes, you're collecting all the points you can collect. You're coming to all of the live events. And the thing is, I understand not every member can do that. I get it. But you're just this perfect member in that you're just lapping everything up. And for me, as the person who's creating this content, it's really something special, Angie. So I'd just love to know, well, what's the story of why you joined and how you're finding it?
Well, when I was invited to the talk, we have lots and lots of talks with Utility Warehouse. We have lots of people come on stage, they tell us their stories, they give us some training. So much of it is personal development. So when we were invited to come to Paul and Anna's training in Swindon, you know, we knew we were going to go. It was just, we didn't know who you were, but we knew we were going to go, and we knew that because of the history that we've got with Utility Warehouse, we were going to be in for something really, really interesting. And both Mike, who's my husband, and myself sat there just in complete awe, because you were talking from your heart. You were doing just how we do. You were talking, you had no airs or graces. You were just talking as a normal person, and you were stunning. Your whole story was amazing. You were stunning. So I made sure that when I left there, I could follow you on something, which is, I think I then stumbled across you on the Facebook, because I'm not that good on Facebook, but I found it and it was like, I know who that lady is, I want to follow her. So I was following you on there, and that's when I found out about the Live It, Love It, Sell It. And it was like, yes, I'm going to be part of that, and I'm very glad I have. I think it goes along hand in hand, and the reason I've embarked on it so well is because it does what we do with Utility Warehouse. It's the personal development, it's understanding who you are, how you can succeed in your business, and how you can move forward. And now that I'm working on my own as a consultant, there's lots of opportunities open for me, and this is really helping to pave a way to make sure I do things in the right manner, and with the right process, really, because it's a big world in the legal world, and if you don't get it right, you're not really going to succeed.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that you get it right. You have to make sure you know who your market is. You have to make sure you know who you are and what you've got to offer, to be able to get the clients that you want to get at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's really, really helping.
I love
So thank
that.
you.
Oh, well, thank you. You're just brilliant. I love watching you, and I love seeing you've done another lesson. And because what I've really tried to do with the lessons is make them into really easy video, 10 to 15-minute type lessons, so that they're not too heavy. But equally, I know you could listen to it as an audio if you hadn't got time to watch it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, because I know something you said to me once, that you listen in the mornings or something, you said.
I put it on in the morning, either whilst I'm getting dressed or whilst I'm walking the dog, because I walk him at about 6:30 every morning. So
Yeah.
one or the other, it's on. And if I haven't got a training from you, I will go onto a YouTube and I will get a YouTube training. There's lots and lots of people that I look at on YouTube.
Yeah, it's great. And obviously that I set it up as a high street, which is a bit ironic, isn't it? Because you talk about the high street, having worked in the solicitors on the high street. And I set it up as a high street because of my dad. And he ran the local newsagents and sweet shop when I was a little girl, you know. So it's although it wasn't on a high street, it was actually on a local shopping precinct, which was a bit different. But the whole principle of me making it all about shops, I think for me just made it so much more exciting, and I was so engaged with it because it was almost like Dad was with me while I was doing it, you know. And I'm wondering how that feels to you as the member, having it in that format.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous at first because I thought, well, if it's shops, I'm not looking at a shop. I'm a law office, so I remember emailing and saying, can I do it if I'm doing a law office? But it actually is anybody. You don't actually have to be on a high street to be doing this. It is anybody. If you want to gauge how to set your business and how to make sure that you're going in the right direction, you need training from somebody who knows what they're doing. And that's you.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's more the theme of it than actually you having a physical shop, isn't it? So
Yes.
it was,
Yeah.
I think I just wanted it to feel like it was a bit of a place to go. And some of these memberships all do very similar things because actually they're great things to do.
Yeah.
You know, every membership probably follows a very similar pattern, but when you've got a theme with it, sometimes it feels like it's a bit different, you know, so.
Yeah, because we've got the opticians as well, haven't we?
Yes.
We've all got our own shops in there where we can all advertise.
Yes.
And I love the bit where we can, everybody's got a different learning pattern. So everybody does things in their own way, suited to their own environment. But personal development isn't just a 15-minute training or a podcast or anything. It really is all about developing yourself as a person. And there's so many more things. So you've opened the bookshop, so everybody can go on and put their books that have helped them on their journey. And you might think you've got lots of books in your library, but then you stumble across somebody else's and you think, oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
And so you go and you read that, and that's a great learning thing as well. It is really, really good. I've got to get used to the Facebook side of it yet, because I'm not, that's the coffee shop side.
It is, but and yet you're in there regularly and you comment and everything, so actually you're really prominent in there. So even if you think you're not quite used to it, it looks like you're a seasoned professional the way you come in and out of there.
Oh, I didn't realise.
So you're doing it well.
I thought I might have to go on from the Live It, Love It, Sell It one. I didn't realise it was just, see, I'm technology and me. You're just not.
Yeah, but what it is originally when you first join, you go through to the Facebook group from the WordPress site. So from the website where the actual membership's based, that's where you go through. Once you're part of that Facebook group, you could go straight into it from Facebook if you're ever on Facebook. So it is easily accessible, but it's a private group. So unless you're a member, you can't see it. So That's
Okay,
how it works.
that's obviously what I'm doing on there. But it's lovely to see the other people that are with us as well on the journey, and to hear their stories, and to see, everybody on the face of it, people think, oh, they're really successful, how do they do it? But the reality is everybody's human, and everybody's got a story, and everybody got there in a certain way. And it's really interesting to see that we're normal, and our journeys are part of who we are. It's not something to think, oh, well, I grew up in Germany and I didn't really have anything and I didn't really know. You've got to make that's in my past. So now I'm moving forward. How do I move forward?
It's also part of your story as well, which makes it interesting when you use it in a positive way. Because for me, part of the story of you being in Germany is actually the fact that school was really tough for you because of that moving round, and yet you went back, you got your CSEs and O-levels, because I did O-levels and CSEs, and then you went on and got a law degree. Well, I mean, that's huge, and that's a big part of your story. So I love that. I really do. And I think the other thing I love is the box office side of the high street, where we can actually have live events. And when I say live, of course they're online, they're on Zoom, because that's our life now, isn't it? But the live events mean that we can meet up and have other guest experts who can bring other elements of business I don't know about. And equally, you get a slot as a member, which you can do soon, Angie, where you tell us all about you and your story. And that's where, like you say, it gets exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, we've had some great speakers on there, haven't we? I mean, we've only been going, a month or so?
Yeah.
And it's, I just love it. I set up, as soon as I saw the box office, I just went in and, I'll do that one, I'll do that one, I'll do that one. And just embraced it all, because it's different people bringing different things to the table.
Yeah.
And you've got to be open and just, it might resonate with you, it might not, it might have something to do with what you're doing, it might not. But I'm sure that even if it's in the might not category, you're going to get some really good nuggets regardless. You've just got to involve, and you'll be amazed at what you do pick up.
Yeah, thank you, Angie. And I think it's actually testament to how you use the membership as a member, because that's a massive part of it. I can put as much as you like in there for you, but if you then consume that and you really embrace it, that's when it becomes really powerful, I think, doesn't it? So obviously there's a monthly fee that you pay to be a member, but I guess for me, I think it's about the value you then get back for that fee each month, and being able to pay it on a smaller amount but monthly. This whole subscription thing for me is actually a way to go. I think lots of people really like that now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you don't even notice it coming out. I mean, it's very, very small. It's a very small fee, and you don't notice it coming out. It's not going to put a big dent in your pocket, but what you get back from it is tenfold. It really is, because for what you're paying, it's the price. I go and get hubby's coffee things, and they're about £5 for a little tiny box thing.
Yeah.
Well, he'll only be able to have a couple of weeks of drinking coffee, but I'm getting a month for the price of his monthly coffee takings and things.
Yeah.
And I am getting so much information, so much support, and and I know that you're there. If I was to text you and say, oh, how did that happen, and I know you're there, and that support is just invaluable. Plus everybody else. So there's the lady Sue who's in there. She's got an amazing story, and it's interesting to see from her story and what she is bringing to the table, what she's got to offer, how she can really go global on that. She can go big time on it.
Yeah.
And it's that realization of what you've actually got, instead of, for her, she's seeing it as a charity. It's much more than that,
isn't it? Yeah, it really is. And I think at some point maybe we'll get that story out on the podcast, because isn't it a lovely story?
It is. I saw today what she'd done with her leaflet, And that was it. It's amazing.
So Angie, listen, I want to finish up with next steps for Angie and her fabulous new business. What's exciting about what you're doing next?
Well, I have a vision to open an office. I would love to open an office, but not necessarily. I'm not going to do 9 to 5. My days of doing 9 to 5 are gone. So now I'm working out how and where that's going to be, and how it's going to evolve, really. And that's, I've got the vision. The vision is there. It's getting more and more empowered with the training that I'm getting from you, and it's just making that now a reality.
Yeah, and I think you can really change the kind of future and perception of the solicitors. That it's not that they're all bad. I have met some wonderful solicitors, but there's a stigma attached, and it's a bit like sales, Angie. There's a stigma attached to sales that we're going to be pushy and force you to buy something from us, and that is my mission, is to change how we see sales. And I think perhaps one of your visions and missions is to change how people feel about solicitors, maybe.
Yeah, because a lot of people are really worried about ringing their solicitor because they think they're going to be charged. The clock is ticking. So the minute they pick the phone up, they get very scared that, oh, that's just cost me 200 and something pounds to ring the law firm. It isn't that at all. You're given a set fee. It's conveyancing. If you're into litigation, that's a different model entirely. But when it's conveyancing, you're given a set fee, and no matter how much time I give to somebody, that set fee is still going to be there. Yeah. So for me, it's delivering the service that the customer expects.
I can tell that that's what you're about. So that's really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, tell us, last thing before you go, what would be your final parting advice to our listeners?
I would say, if you have a vision, if you've got something that you want to change, whether it's about you or whether it's about your business, really get involved with Jules's company is amazing. It is, you really can't go wrong with that. But I really would say, take the leap of faith and do it. You don't know where you're going to end up. Right, my granddaughter's just told me to come home. So it's shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars.
Love it. Hello.
Sophie.
Hi, Sophie. You're joining a podcast live. Welcome to us. Yeah, that's such a great way to finish, isn't it? Our discussions, because I think, this is half the thing, isn't it? Have a go. Just try.
Have faith in yourself as well. If you have a vision and you have something you want to change, have faith in yourself and do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. Thank you, Angie. And I just have to tell the audience, I did not pay Angie for any of the bigging up that she did for me. But I appreciate it. Angie, it's a real pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you, get to know you more than when I first met you originally. To have you in the membership is amazing. And for you to have been a podcast guest today with me, I love that you joined me.
Thank you. And thank you for giving me the opportunity, because it's a great, great way forward for me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. We'll make sure everybody listens to this conversation for you. And listeners, if you have just listened to our fabulous human conversation, Angie and I know you will have felt her warmth come through the screen if you're watching, and even just your earphones if you're walking the dog. She's a wonderful lady. I'm very proud of everything that she's done so far in the membership, and I know she's going to be amazingly successful. Please like and comment if you want to on whatever platform you have listened to, and we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and of course SoundCloud. Join us again next time on The Human Conversation, and thank you for listening. Ta-ta for now. You've just been listening to the Human Conversation podcast with Jules White.
To find out more about the other work that Jules does, please visit her website www.liveitloveitsellit.co.uk. And if you enjoyed the podcast, then please do leave a rating and review on the platform you use to enjoy her show. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.